Hare Krishna. Is my screen visible?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. Om Ajnana-timirandasya Jnananjana-shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam yena tasmai Shri Gurave Namah. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Gadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeyam Shri Guru Shri Udapadakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sagana Raghunathan Vidam Stamsa Jivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Paljana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sagana Lalita Shri Vishakan Vidamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Deenabandhu Jagatpate गोपेशा गोपिका कांता राधा कांता नमोस्तुते तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वाञ्छकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्यैव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौरभक्तवृंद हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय हरे कृष्णा. So chapter 15 verse 11. Okay, we'll recite the shloka. यतन्तो योगिनश्चैनं पश्यन्त्यात्मनि अवस्थितं यतन्तोऽपि अकृतात्मानो नैनं पश्यन्त्यचेतसः यतन्तो योगिनश्चैनं पश्यन्त्यात्मनि अवस्थितं यतन्तोऽपि अकृतात्मानो नैनं पश्यन्त्यचेतसः यतन्तो योगिनश्चैनं पश्यन्त्यात्मनि अवस्थितं यतन्तोऽपि अकृतात्मानो नैनं पश्यन्त्यचेतसः यतन्तो योगिनश्चैनं पश्यन्त्यात्मनि अवस्थितं यतन्तोऽपि अकृतात्मानो नैनं पश्यन्त्यचेतसः. Prabhu?
Can I try, Babu?
Yeah.
Yatando yoginashchayenam pasyanti atmani avastidam yatantopi akartamano na enam pasyanti asi achetasa.
Okay.
Hare
Thank you.
Krishna, Babu.
Hare Krishna. Mataji?
Hare Krishna, sir.
Hare Krishna.
Yantanto yoginashchaina pasyanti atmani avastitam yatanto pai aktamano nainam pasyanti achastata. Hare Krishna, sir.
Hare Krishna. Thank you. Yatanto yoginaschainam pashyanti atmani avasthitam yatanto api kritatmano nainam pashyanti achetasah. Synonyms: yatanta, endeavoring; yogina, transcendentalists; cha, also; enam, this; pashyanti, can see; atmani, in the self; avasthitam, situated; yatantaha, endeavoring; api, although; akrita atmanaha, those without self-realization; na, do not; enam, this; pashyanti, see; achetasaha, having undeveloped minds. Translation: the endeavoring transcendentalist was situated in self-realization, can see clearly, but those whose minds are not developed and who are not situated in self-realization cannot see what is taking place, though they may try. Okay, so in the first sentence itself. The endeavoring transcendentalists who are situated in self-realization can see all this clearly. So now, what is meant by can see all this clearly? What is the this referring to? See all this clearly, meaning, so the this is actually referring to what? We are in verse 11 now. So how many verses are there in this chapter? Chapter 15.
20.
Okay. So now we are in verse 11, like right in the middle of the chapter. So as mentioned here, Krishna is saying the endeavoring transcendentalists who are situated in self-realization can see all this clearly. So the this is referring to what?
Change of body, bro.
Spiritual knowledge.
Virtual knowledge.
Spiritual, those who have.
Oh, spiritual. Okay.
The death of the material body, and then the transference of the spiritual body from one body to another body.
Okay, so the distinction between material and spiritual body, the transmigration of the soul. Okay, so these are the basic subject matters related to self-realization as a whole. But now we are in verse 11. So right from the beginning of this chapter, so how did it all start? In the first verse, right from the first verse, Krishna was talking about, in the first verse, Krishna was talking about the imperishable banyan tree. So actually, this entire chapter consisting of 20 verses, Purushottama Yoga, can be divided into 4 sections. So in the first half, like the first 5 verses are actually about the material world. So that's why if right from the beginning, right from verse 1 itself, okay, the Supreme Personality of Godhead said, it is said that there is an imperishable banyan tree that has its roots upward and its branches down, and whose leaves are the Vedic hymns. One who knows this tree is the knower of the Vedas. Then the branches of this tree extend downward and upward, nourished by the 3 modes of material nature. The twigs are the objects of the senses. This tree also has roots going down, and these are bound to the fruitive actions of human society. So this imperishable banyan tree has its the branches extend downward and upward. The root and branches are actually analogous to, it's compared to the analogy of seeing the reflection of a tree on the surface of the water. Like when we see a tree, the reflection of a tree on the river bank, so that reflection will actually be upside down. The actual tree has its normal form, but the reflection will be such that as though the roots going upward, like as described here. So in this first section, from verse 1 to verse 5, it is all about this material world, which is actually a perverted reflection of the spiritual world. So in the material world, it is all about matter. Like the entire material world is composed of the elements of creation, just matter alone, and it is only due to our presence. Like if there are no living entities in this material world, then there's nothing but dead matter. It is only because of the presence of living entities, the conditioned souls, like even the conditioned souls, though the original identity of the conditioned soul is that they are spirit souls, but still the conditioned soul is encaged in a material body. So only due to the presence of the conditioned souls, there is so much activity in this material world. Like even if we, as Srila Prabhupada has stated in the introductory chapter itself regarding the 5 subject matters of the Gita. So the 5 subject matters are the 5 subject matters of the Gita: Ishvara,
Prakriti,
Prakriti,
Isura,
hmm,
what is the Prakriti is a time,
Kala.
see,
material nature. Isura, Prakriti, time, it doesn't certainly come.
Karma.
Karma, yeah.
see,
And,
Ishvara, Jiva, Prakriti, Kala, Karma.
Karma.
Okay, so the 5 subject matters: Ishvara, the supreme person; Jiva, living entities; Prakriti, material nature; Kala, time; Karma, activity. So activity is also one of the subject matters. So when the living entities are present in this material world as conditioned souls, so we are all here to be engaged in activities, and that is only because of what? Why the conditioned souls are here in this material world, and why are they being engaged in activities or material activities? There must be a reason, right?
To fulfill our karma, past karma.
To fulfill our past karma.
Yeah, to go through.
Okay, meaning you're saying like as long as we are here, we can clear our balances.
Yes.
Okay, then attain the zero balance, something like that. Okay. Any other answers?
We are made to, we want to enjoy here without,
Mm.
without the presence of Lord Krishna.
Exactly. So the main reason why living entities are encaged in the material body and living in this material world and engaged in material activities in particular is mainly due to our choice. It is because of our our individual choice that we chose to become enjoyers and controllers, and therefore the Supreme Lord, he respects our individual freedom to make choices, and therefore since we want to be enjoyers and controllers, so despite the fact that our original identity is that we are spirit souls, we cannot be enjoyers and controllers in the spiritual world. So that's why we have been given the chance to become enjoyers and controllers in this material world. But our position is such that we actually tend to think that we are enjoying in this material world due to our delusion, or due to the illusion actually. So even in this material world, the conditioned souls who are mostly in who are being puppeteered by the 3 modes of material nature, like as stated in this second verse itself, the banyan tree is nourished by the 3 modes of material nature. So these are bound to the fruitive actions of human society. So whatever we all perform in this material world are all material activities which can never liberate us to attain our original identity. So it can only further entangle us into this material existence. We are going to be perpetually entangled in this endless cycle of Janma Mrityu Jara Vyadi. So that is the purpose of the creation of this material world. As long as we are stuck here, we are meant to only be engaged in these material activities unless unless the spiritual awakening happens. So the more we are engaged in material activities, we will only end up like first of all, we ended up in this material world itself because we wanted to be enjoyers and controllers. So we actually think like when I say we, it is actually referring to all the jivas or living entities, meaning all the spirit souls who are conditioned souls in this material world. So this has also been highlighted in the introductory chapter of Gita, like regarding why uh, why the essence of Gita is not constrained within the bounds of a particular religion. Like in the introductory chapter itself, Srila Prabhupada also explains the distinction between dharma and religion. So the eternal occupation of the spirit soul or dharma of the jiva is to serve the Supreme Lord. That is the original eternal occupation or dharma of the jiva. So in most religions, like they do not really they do not even talk about the spirit soul, and it is often the identification of a person is actually bounded by material designations in most religions. However, the essence of the Gita is meant to focus on the eternal occupation of the jiva, that is dharma. So that is why they call it sanatana dharma, meaning the eternal occupation of the living entity. So all the conditioned souls who are encased in the 84 lakh species of material bodies, they are all equal. Like now we are actually today we are discussing verse 11 from chapter 15, but Lord Krishna also says in verse 7 itself, Mamaivanso jivaloke jivabhuta sanatana manashastan indriyani prakrishtani karishati. So in the 7th verse, okay, in verse number 7 of chapter 15, the Supreme Lord says, the living entities in this conditioned world are my eternal fragmental parts. Due to conditioned life, they are struggling very hard with the 6 senses, which include the mind. So, when the Supreme Lord says, Mamai Vamsho, Jiva Loke, Jiva Bhuta Sanatanaha. So, when he talks about Jiva, is he referring to human beings alone? Is the Supreme Lord referring to human beings alone when he talks about living entities?
No.
Okay.
Mm.
Because when we talk about conditioned souls or spirit soul, everyone is equal regardless of the material engagement. So that is what has also been highlighted in the earlier chapters, like chapter 5, how the enlightened sage or pandita views everyone equally, because the original identity is that of being the spirit soul and not based on the material engagement. not based on the material body. So whether we talk about human beings, plants, animals, all are just those are the external material engagement is just the covering, but internally the original identity is that of the spirit soul. And here the Supreme Lord is saying that all living entities in this conditioned world are my eternal fragmental parts. Therefore he doesn't distinguish between based on the material designations. He doesn't say that only those who pray to me, uh, uh, all those who do not believe in me, they will go to hell. He doesn't say anything like that. He acknowledges that all living entities, regardless of material designations, are all his eternal fragmental parts. So this is the basic difference between dharma and religion. So the Supreme Lord sees us or all the living entities. When we talk about the material world, all the living entities in this material world are conditioned souls, uh, nitya baddha, the ones who are entangled in this material world are known as nitya baddha. The liberated ones, the souls which have been liberated, the that is the only distinction. So the first on the material, the descriptions are focused on the material world. Like in verse 3 and 4, the real form of these three cannot be perceived in this world. No one can understand where it ends, where it begins, or where its foundation is. But with determination, one must cut down this strong-rooted tree with the weapon of detachment. So, in order to liberate ourselves from this material, and in order to liberate ourselves from this material world, first of all, we must know why we need to liberate ourselves. That's why in chapter 13, also the Lord talks about the 20 aspects of knowledge. Like Supreme Lord has even explained about what knowledge is all about. So in that description of the 20 aspects of knowledge, one of the most important aspect is regarding the ability to perceive the evil of Janma Mrityu Jara Vyadi. Only when we realize that we are actually suffering in this material world, like we ended up here due to our tendency to become anxious and controllers. However, now at least since we have all attained this human form of life, so at least we have the ability, we have been blessed with the ability to at least perceive the evil of Janma Mrityu Jara Vyadi. Therefore, at least we have the slightest chance to realize that we are actually suffering in this material world. And as long as we do not endeavor to liberate ourselves from this dukkhalayam ashashvatam, we will continue to suffer and we will continue to be entangled in this endless cycle. So how to liberate ourselves from this entanglement? With the weapon of detachment. Thereafter, one must seek that place from which, having gone, one never returns, and there surrender to that Supreme Personality of Godhead from whom everything began and from whom everything has extended since time immemorial. So, as conditioned souls, at least having attained the human form of life, we know that we are suffering, and if we endeavor to liberate ourselves with the weapon of detachment, then our goal must be clear that we must endeavor to attain that destination, meaning the description here clearly refers to the spiritual world. Okay, so how to attain that ultimate destination? As described here in text 5, Nirmana Moha, Jasanga Dosha, Adhyatmanitya, Vinivritta Kama, Dvandvenukta, Sukha Samye, Gachanti Amuda, Padam Avyayam Tat. Those who are free from false prestige, illusion, and false association, who understand the eternal, who are done with material lust, who are freed from the dualities of happiness and distress, and who, unbewildered, know how to surrender unto the Supreme Person, attain to that eternal kingdom. So, the eternal kingdom is the spiritual world. And in order to attain to that eternal kingdom, the most important precondition is to know how to surrender unto the Supreme Person, which means that again the the um, the misconception about merging into to the Supreme and becoming one with the Supreme, all these have been demolished again in this verse also. Like the individual spirit souls must know how to surrender unto the Supreme Person. Hence, the individuality of spirit souls and the Supreme Person is also established in this verse. So only by surrendering unto the Supreme Person, we can attain the eternal kingdom. So from verse 1 to 5, the descriptions are all focused on the material world. Then starting from verse 6 itself, it is about the spiritual world. Na tad bhasyate suryo, na shashanko na pavaka, yadgatva na nivartante taddhama paramam mama. That supreme abode of mind is not illuminated by the sun or moon, nor by fire or electricity. Those who reach it never return to this material world. So, why the supreme abode? Why the spiritual world does not require sun, moon, fire, or electricity? What's the reason? In the material world, we have sun, moon. Why there's no sun or moon in the spiritual world?
Come again, Prabhu?
Yeah, in as stated here, the supreme abode of mind is not illuminated by the sun or moon, nor by fire or electricity. Meaning, in the spiritual world, there is no sun or moon, or fire or electricity. But in the material world, we have sun, moon. Why is it so?
The Brahma Jyoti.
Okay, so the spiritual world is always effulgent
Of Lord Krishna.
merely from the Brahma Jyoti effulgence from the body of the Supreme Lord. So, as we can see here, from verse 1 to 5, everything was focused on the descriptions of about the material world. And then from verse 6 onwards, from verse 6 to 11, all the descriptions are focused on the spiritual world. So it is like the distinction between material world and spiritual world. Then we have already seen regarding verse 7 about the spirit souls being eternal fragmental parts of the Supreme Lord. Then in verse 8, the living entity in the material world carries his different conceptions of life from one body to another, as the air carries aromas. Thus, he takes one kind of body and again quits it to take another. So, in verse 11, when the Supreme Lord says, the endeavoring transcendentalists who are situated in self-realization can see all this clearly, meaning he is actually referring to everything that he spoke from the first verse about the material world, then the distinction between material world and spiritual world, and also as mentioned in the 8th verse, regarding the transmigration of the soul. So the living entity in the material world carries its different conceptions of life from one body to another. So as long as the living entity is encased in one particular body, then as we have also seen from the previous chapter 14, about the three modes of material nature, all the conditioned souls are always being puppeteered by the three modes, and there is always competition between the three puppeteers to dominate the conditioned souls. So each and every conditioned living entity is dominated by one particular mode of material nature. It could be sattva guna, rajaguna, or tamaguna. So depending on the kind of life led by that conditioned soul in one particular material body, then based on that, the soul carries that conception from one body to another. So we have also seen from the previous chapter, in chapter 14, that human beings who take birth in planet Earth, in the middle planet, as we know, our current position is actually right in the middle of the 14 planetary systems. So by default, those who are born with this human form of life in this planet have this, mostly they are driven by the mode of passion, and that's why we are all somehow bound by the rajaguna, where we are often forced to be engaged in fruitive activities, like our daily routine is predominantly consisting of fruitive activities. We are always engaged in accumulating material wealth. So obviously we do not belong to the tamaguna, and we were not born in the animal kingdom. At the same time, we are not enlightened sages as well. So being situated in this rajaguna, we either have the option to further elevate ourselves to the upper guna, or fall down to the lower guna. So depending on our activities in our present form of life, then we are actually preparing for our next material body. So that is what is meant by the living entity carries its different conceptions of life from one body to another. So depending on the kind of activities we are engaged in now, if we continue to live like animals, then those who continue to live like animals are more likely to take birth in the animal kingdom, having tamaguna. But those who endeavor to elevate themselves to the higher quality, that is sattva, then they have better chances of attaining the ultimate goal. Also determine our how this is how the transmigration of the soul is determined by the activities of every conditioned soul. Our current activities, through our current activities, we are actually preparing for our next body. So whether we are going to end up in another material body, or whether we are going to attain our original spiritual body, so it is entirely up to us the living entities. Then in verse 9, the living entity, thus taking another gross body, obtains a certain type of ear, eye, tongue, nose, and sense of touch, which are grouped about the mind. He thus enjoys a particular set of sense objects. When in the previous verse, it was mentioned regarding the transmigration of the soul, then upon attaining a new material body, in all the 84 lakh material bodies, they are all equipped with particular set of senses to enjoy sense objects. So that is how the conditioned souls are given the freedom to enjoy as they wish. So conditioned souls who chose to live in uh, material body with these senses according to their tendencies. So those who choose to live like animals will eventually attain the body of a particular animal so that they can continue to enjoy as their wish. So it's entirely of the individual. However, for those who have attained the human form of life, if they do not utilize this precious opportunity, then um, it will be very difficult to regain this current position. Then in text 10, the foolish cannot understand how a living entity can quit his body, nor can they understand what sort of body he enjoys under the spell of the modes of nature. But one whose eyes are trained in knowledge can see all this. So, right from verse 1 to verse 10. So that is what the Supreme Lord is referring to when he says the endeavoring transcendentalists who are situated in self-realization can see all this clearly. But those whose minds are not developed and who are not situated in self-realization cannot see what is taking place, though they may try. So from verse 1 to 5, it was all about the description about the material world. Then starting from verse 6, it was about the spiritual world. Then in verse 7, about the relationship between the supreme person and the individual spirit souls. And then also about the transmigration of the soul and how upon attaining every new material body, the conditioned living entity enjoys certain sense objects using the particular set of senses which were provided with that particular material body. So the endeavoring transcendentalists who are situated in self-realization can see all this clearly, meaning those who do not endeavor cannot see what is going on. So they do not even they will not even be able to realize that they are spirit souls. They cannot even realize the distinction between the spirit soul and the material body, and they may not even be able to realize that they are actually suffering in this dukkalayam ashashvatam. But there are many transcendentalists on the path of spiritual self-realization, but one who is not situated in self-realization cannot see how things are changing in the body of the living entity. Okay, so we can see that in the translation and also in the purport, the keyword self-realization is being repeated so many times. So what is actually meant by self-realization? What is the meaning of self-realization?
Realization of the difference between the soul and the
realizing the difference between
soul,
the,
body, and super
and
soul.
the material body and the spirit soul. Then beyond that, like this has also been explained in the introductory chapter. To realize between material body and spirit soul. So that is actually the first step towards self-realization. So that knowledge will eventually culminate into realizing. So first of all, we realize that we are not this material body, we are spirit souls. Then further, we still need to realize the self. So first of all, we realize that we are spirit souls. So beyond that, what is step or the final step?
Super soul.
First,
Come again, Babu?
so first step in self-realization is to realize that we are not this body, we are spirit souls. Okay,
Yeah, Babu.
then what next? What about the self itself? What is meant by self? Of course, we are spirit souls. Then
Yeah.
what we need to realize that
Your voice is breaking, Babu.
oh, okay. So I was saying that the first step self-realization is realizing the difference between material body and spirit soul. So what is the next step in realizing the self?
Our relation to the super soul.
Okay. So when we talk about self, first of all, we must understand that the self is not material body, it is spirit soul, and
Part and
the
parcel.
origin of self. Yeah. So the relationship between spiritual and super soul, and why do we need to realize that? What is the importance of it?
We want to go back to the super soul, Babu. The big soul.
Okay.
Small soul wants to go and join the big soul.
Want to go to
Okay.
Godhead.
And why?
Self-realization and reach the supreme destination, Babu.
The supreme mission. Why do we need to go to the supreme destination?
So we are from there. We rebelled against the supreme and was pushed down here to enjoy without the Lord's presence. So now we realize Vijnana, we know our self-realization. We want to go back.
Okay, so the Supreme Lord for us to enjoy, right? And we actually to enjoy. And now, why are we declining that? Why yeah, enjoy? And why are we declining that? He has given the facility what for us to enjoy. So why do we want to go back?
Can't hear you, bro.
The Supreme Court gives us its facility to enjoy here in the world. Because we wanted to enjoy, he is material world. He gave us all these facilities to enjoy. Why we want to simply act and decline all these enjoyment? Sorry, I'll read again. The question is, the Supreme Lord has given us this facility. He has given us all the facilities in the material world because we gave us all these facilities, and suddenly why are we not enjoying here, and why suddenly we want to decline everything and go back to him? Why?
Because staying here, Babu, is, as they say, like chewing the chewed, and we get fed up. Ultimately, you're looking for the supreme enjoyment, the greatest enjoyment that is only available, the eternal enjoyment is available only in the Vaikuntha.
Okay.
We find the eternal enjoyment here. Everything is chewing the chewed, you know.
Okay. So, contrary to our original expectation, we wanted to be enjoyers and controllers in this material world. It is not happening, right? Because the material world is full of dualities. Our original desire was to enjoy and to become controllers, and we wanted it in such a way where we want only the good things, but that is not possible in this material world. There will always be dualities. We will experience happiness for some time, followed by distress. uh, we uh, we may work for profit, but at the same time we may experience losses. So the dualities are inseparable from the material world. Therefore, contrary to our uh, original expectations, where we were deluded, and we were thinking that we can enjoy and be controllers in this material world. So that has that will never happen, because our original identity, being part and parcel of the Supreme Lord, uh, since we are part and parcel of the Supreme Lord, we can never enjoy unless we prioritize the enjoyment of the Supreme Person. Just like uh, the explanation given by Narada Muni to the sons of Chetas in Bhagavatam, like regarding, am I audible?
Yeah.
Okay. So the analogy is given like, to nourish a tree, we have to water the root, not by watering the leaves. And in order to nourish the body also, we have to supply food to the stomach, not to the hands and legs. So similarly, the individual spirit souls, whether the conditioned souls or even the liberated souls, even the liberated individual spirit souls in the spiritual world, they are also engaged in devotional service. That is the only way they can experience transcendental bliss. So in the spiritual world, the liberated souls are experiencing transcendental bliss because there are no dualities in the spiritual world. In the material world, we always, though we are trying to experience happiness, that is not always the case. We are sure to experience distress as well. So, as long as we do not, uh, as long as we do not endeavor to understand uh, the the true origin of the self. So first of all, we realize that the self is not the material body, it is the spirit soul. Then what about the origin of the spirit soul itself? As explained by the Supreme Lord himself, we are eternally fragmental part and parcel of the Supreme Lord. So if we want to be happy, if we want to experience bliss, that will only happen by watering the root, only by serving the Supreme Lord, only by being engaged in devotional service and pleasing the Supreme Lord. Only then all other eternal fragmental parts can also be pleased. So the transcendentalists who are situated in self-realization can see all this clearly. But those whose minds are not developed and who are not situated in self-realization cannot see what is taking place, though they may try. The word yoginaha is significant in this connection. In the present day, there are many so-called yogis and there are many so-called associations of yogis, but they are actually blind in the matter of self-realization. They are simply addicted to do some sort of gymnastic exercise and are satisfied if the body is well built and healthy. They have no other information. They are called yatanto api akritat manaha. So as mentioned here, akrita atmanaha, those without self-realization. So the so-called yogis and associations of yogis who are obsessed with gymnastic exercise and satisfied if the body is well built and healthy. So they have no other information, meaning that the first they have actually failed right from the first precondition itself, because the first step towards self-realization is to realize that the self is not the material body, it is the spirit soul. So those as mentioned here, those so-called yogis who are only obsessed with the gymnastic exercise and only about maintaining the body, so they do not even fulfill the first step towards self-realization, even though they are endeavoring in a so-called yoga system. They are not self-realized. Such people cannot understand the process of the transmigration of the soul. Only those who are actually in the yoga system and have realized the self, the world, and the Supreme Lord, in other words, the Bhakti yogis, those engaged in pure devotional service in Krishna consciousness, can understand how things are taking place. So, the essence of self-realization itself, it starts from realizing that we are not the material body, we are spirit souls. So what about the origin of the spirit soul itself and the relationship of the spirit soul and the super soul? So by understanding that, those who completely understand uh, all these aspects through bhakti yoga, only such enlightened souls will endeavor to be engaged in pure devotional service in Krishna consciousness. So only by being engaged in bhakti yoga, we will endeavor to work towards pleasing the Supreme Lord. When the Supreme Lord is pleased, then all the uh, eternal fragmental parts and parcels of the Supreme Lord will also be pleased. So that's why even the liberated souls in the spiritual world, they are constantly engaged in Krishna consciousness. And if even those liberated souls are being engaged in are eternally engaged in bhakti yoga, then it is even important for us who are trapped in this material world as conditioned souls. So in order for us to experience real enjoyment, the only true enjoyment is to be engaged in uh, eternal devotional service to the Supreme Lord. Because from our originally deluded condition, we were thinking that we can be enjoyers and controllers in this material world. But what actually happened? We started to our conditioned soul started to transmigrate from one material body to another. So, like this, we have been transmigrating through the 84 lakh species of material bodies, taking up each time we enter one particular material body, we were enjoying through those specific sets of senses which were equipped with that particular material body. And during our stay in that particular material body, we were engaged in specific types of activities, and we were also under the influence of a particular type of a particular mode of material nature. So based on all those accumulated activities, so we have been going through this incessant cycle of Janma Mrityu Jara Vyadhi. Every time we take up a material body, we go through the same cycle again: birth, death, old age, disease, in all the 84 lakh material bodies. And did we actually learn that we can never be satisfied or we can never be enjoyous by going through this endless cycle? So since we have now been blessed with this human form of life, we have the opportunity to realize this. At least we have the opportunity to realize that we can never be satisfied, we can never enjoy in this material world, because as the Supreme Lord also says in chapter 8, that this material world is a place of suffering. Though it is full of dualities, though we may experience happiness and distress, but what is the point of having temporary happiness and experiencing distress? Like, most of the time, we experience distress even more than happiness. So, due to our original position, we are never meant to be, we were never meant to be enjoyers on our own right. So we can only enjoy transcendental bliss by being engaged in devotional service to the Supreme Lord. And the only effective way to do it is through bhakti yoga. And even while being engaged in this human form of life, we have the opportunity to be engaged in Krishna consciousness, so that we can elevate ourselves to a better position, or even by the mercy of the Supreme Lord, we can attain the ultimate destination. So all that will only be possible if first of all we realize that our current position. We were thinking that we wanted to enjoy in this material world, but it never happened, and it is never going to happen. We are only going to be entangled eternally. So we have to realize, first of all, we have to realize through self-realization. And in order to realize through self-realization, we have to understand what the self really means. So after realizing the distinction between material body and spirit soul, then we will not waste our time merely in nourishing the material body alone. We will be engaged in spiritual activities to prepare for our next body, so that we can attain the ultimate destination. And that is only possible by following the process of bhakti yoga or Krishna consciousness. So that's all for today. Verse 11. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, sir.
Thanks, Prabhu.
Thank you, Prabhu.